Taiwan is scared of China. Taiwan is watching Russia's war in Ukraine warily, with fears China's Xi Jinping could learn from Vladimir Putin's strategy. Russia's war in Ukraine has created ripples around the world, revealing an undercurrent of concern among the people of Taiwan that they, too, could be vulnerable to invasion. Chinese leader Xi Jinping's refusal to criticize Vladimir Putin's war has raised concerns that Beijing is watching Russia's invasion with an eye to a future conflict for control of the island. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has played down comparisons with Ukraine, using a speech last week to declare fundamental differences, including the natural barrier of the Taiwan Strait. While many Taiwanese analysts share her assessment, there are still uneasy parallels, including authoritarian leaders who stoke nationalism, historical claims to territory, and a focus on specific leaders and parties as valid targets. China's passive role in this Ukraine crisis is very embarrassing and awkward, said Kui Yujin, a China specialist at National Sun Yat-sen University in Taipei. But I definitely believe China will study at least two things from it: Putin's military strategy, and the responses of the US and the international community. Professor Kwa argues both these factors would make Mr. Xi and the Communist Party leadership less confident about using force in the future. I believe the Ukraine crisis will lower China's ambitions to conduct a similar invasion of Taiwan, he told the ABC. But the intensity of public discussion of the topic in Taiwan this week speaks to the underlying anxiety. Ukrainian soldiers shoot down Russian Mi-24 helicopter. This is the shocking moment a Russian helicopter appears to go down in flames as it is downed in Ukraine. Footage from the front line seems to show the aircraft soaring before it is targeted by Ukrainian weapons. In the clip, it can then be seen lighting up in flames as it pummels down, exploding in a fireball as it reaches the ground. The video has been widely shared on social media. Although it is unclear how the footage was captured, some on Twitter have suggested the clip was taken by a drone. It is not clear when or where the video was filmed, but investigative journalism group Bellingcat has geolocated the footage to have taken place in Kozarovychi in the Kyiv Oblast, around 25 miles from Kyiv. The group has been focusing on verifying footage from the conflict since it began on February 24. The video was also shared by Kyiv Independent reporter Illia Ponomarenko, and now has more than 21,000 likes. It appears the original video was shared by a Kyiv resident on Facebook. A translation of the caption, in Ukrainian, seems to say the country's forces shot down a Russian combat helicopter as aerial reconnaissance shares an operational video. "Glory to Ukraine," he adds. Users on social media have also speculated the helicopter is a Mi-24 Hind gunship, which was in use by Soviet forces from 1972. .280 Russian tanks destroyed by Ukraine using U.S. Javelin missile. 300 shots fired, 280 Russian tanks destroyed, U.S. missiles in Ukrainian hands. Javelin missiles in Ukraine. At least 280 Russian armored vehicles have been destroyed with the American Javelin missile, out of 300 shots fired, according to a report. The Ukrainian military, fighting the much larger Russian invasion force, has been able to kill hundreds of Russian tanks and armored vehicles using a handheld anti-tank missile supplied by the U.S., according to a U.S. journalist who has been tracking the war in the East European nation. At least 280 Russian armored vehicles have been destroyed with the American Javelin missile, out of 300 shots fired, journalist Jack Murphy said in an article quoting a U.S. Special Operations official. That is a 93% kill rate. The Javelin, made jointly by Raytheon Missiles and Defense, and Lockheed Martin, follow a flight path that hits targets from the top, where the armor is relatively weaker. Almost every tank armor is thicker on the sides, but the top is known to be weaker, and that is where the Javelin missile strikes. The Javelin can also be fired in a straight flight path mode if needed. The first shipment of Javelins arrived in Ukraine in 2018. The weapon systems, along with a training and sustainment block, called the Total Package Approach, totaling somewhere around $75 million, Mr. Murphy wrote in the article. As the Russians learned that Ukraine now had Javelins, their T-72 tanks in Donbass became less aggressive and pulled further back from the front lines, he said, quoting the U.S. military official. Russia unleashes remotely piloted aircraft strikes on Ukraine. Russian military of defense footage captures the harrowing moment its air force unleashes a lethal remotely piloted aircraft strike on Ukraine. The shocking footage exposes just how deadly Russia's aerial assault is. It comes after footage from last night appeared to show another air attack on Europe's largest nuclear plant situated in Ukraine. Damage to Europe's biggest nuclear power plant caused by Russian shelling could trigger the biggest radiation leak in history, Ukraine's nuclear regulator has warned. The enormous facility in Enerhodar, southern Ukraine, is under the control of Vladimir Putin's forces after sustained attacks overnight.